Welcome, friends, to Iron Sharpens Iron. Today, we're going to be talking about the concept of personal ownership and responsibility. Stephen Covey, I think, said it very well. I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. So let's talk about it. Welcome back to Iron Sharpens Iron, friends. We're talking about personal ownership today. This is a topic that I am extremely passionate about. It is one of the single most difficult concepts for people to accept, but it is also one of the single most important to implement if you personally want to grow, achieve your goals, and live the life of your dreams.
Yep.
And that is at the core of the topic of ownership, or the principle of ownership, and taking 100% responsibility for your life. It's something that's very simple at its core, right? If you just take this statement and think this in your mind right now, I take 100% ownership for the circumstances of my life. I'm going to say that again. I take 100% ownership for the circumstances of my life, or you can state it slightly different. I am 100% responsible for the life I am living. And that can evoke that concept. As you repeat that in your mind, it's probably evoking a whole bunch of different emotions like, Jake, you're absolutely right. I'm killing it, right? I'm just going to live in the life of my dreams. I love it. I'm doing everything right. Or you might also be thinking, Jake, you're full of crap. Like, there's all this other stuff happening in my life. You don't know me. You don't know the life I'm living. You don't know my circumstance. So just shut up and quit talking. But a couple quotes, things to think about. Roy Bennett says, take responsibility for your own happiness. Never put it in other people's hands. Heather Schuck said, taking personal accountability or ownership is a beautiful thing because it gives us complete control of our destinies. Friends, what I will say, regardless of the response you are having to this concept of taking full ownership, full responsibility for the life you are living, is that this changes everything when you acknowledge it and accept it as real. It's a concept I learned from Jack Canfield about 4 or 5 years ago. Right, the Chicken Soup for the Soul guy also has another amazing book called The Success Principles. And I've heard it since from many other people, such as Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Joe Dispenza, Steve Harvey, a whole bunch of other people. But this is something that completely changed my life, and this is why I'm so passionate about it. It's not a new concept. It's something the Bible talks about with concept of free agency and our power to choose. But it's very difficult for people to accept because as humans, I have found we love to blame, we love to make excuses, and we absolutely love to play the victim card.
Oh, yeah.
And so diving a little deeper, what do we mean by taking full responsibility and ownership of your life? This simply means that you're going to take and accept control for the circumstances of your life. So I, Jacob Anderson, I am responsible 100% for my physical health, for my emotional and spiritual health, for my education and learning, for my relationships, for my financial well-being. Ultimately, for the amount of peace and happiness I enjoy, I'm 100% responsible, and I take full ownership of it. Or if you want to say it a different way, I am 100% responsible for my current life situation, where I work, where I live, who I'm married to, who else, other friendships, the state of my body, my physical health, all of it, I am 100% responsible for.
And let me add something there real quick, Jake. Because there's a big difference between responsibility, like you're saying, and fault. Like a lot of people think, well, it's not my fault that I have cancer growing in my body. It's not my fault that I was raised in a home where we were socially, economically poor. It's not my fault that this person ran a red light and slammed into my car and now I can't afford to get another one. And that's true. A lot of things aren't our fault, but it is our responsibility. It's not your fault that you may be in a rough spot financially, but it is your responsibility to do something about it. It's not your fault that you may be not in the best health because of personal choices or because of genetic just anomalies, right? But it is your responsibility to do something about it. And owning that and taking that responsibility, even though you know it's not your fault, makes all the difference. It's not my fault that I was born poor. It's not my fault that Charlotte, where I am from, is in the last place of all 50 states for economic mobility and moving up. It's not my fault that I was born into this situation, but it is my responsibility to get out of it. And I'm going to own that responsibility. And I'm going to do everything that I can within my power to lift myself to the next bracket of finances. And then the next one. And then the next one. And then someone somewhere down the road, down the line, generation after generation, is going to point to me and say, you are the one that changed our family's future forever. You are the one that owned this thing that wasn't your fault, but took it upon your back and said, it's my responsibility to carry me and everyone that comes after me to where I know I deserve to be. So I want to make sure that we really over-index on what you said is your responsibility, not fault. Things happen. People make mistakes, accidents, all kinds of crazy stuff. People say, oh, well, God gave you agency. Then why does he give kids, cancer? I don't know. But the folks that ask those kind of questions are honestly, if they really dig into their heart, shirking their responsibility to do things about the personal position that they're in life. You're making excuses. And that's what we're talking about. Ownership over excuses.
Ownership over excuses is very well said. You're getting me all jazzed up just listening to you, Solo. And that's the thing that so many people are unwilling to accept what you just said, right? They blame the government. They blame society. They blame their parents or their neighbors or anybody other than themselves for their current life situation and what's happening in their life.
Right.
Or they make excuses. They make excuses for themselves by saying, well, if I had XYZ, it would have been totally different.
Right.
That's just another form of blaming somebody else. But blame and excuses just lead to just misery, emotionally, mentally. Happiness cannot be found at the bottom of a bottle of excuses. Previous podcasts, I'm gonna be a bit vulnerable and really not just preach, but I'm gonna really talk about how I really came to understand this. So previously, I've talked about middle school. We've talked about that at the time, and it was not a great experience. I'm not going to dive into all the whys.
Middle school was traumatic for Miss.
My middle school left an impact, and this is probably the third podcast episode out of 10. I'm talking about it on 30% of our podcast, but I use it as a reference point because if you've listened to any of our other episodes, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But it was a challenge, socially, primarily, right? Which led to a lot of emotional challenges for me. The question is, was I responsible for my middle school experience? Was I responsible for having a best friend that kind of turned on me and became one of my worst social relationships in middle school? Was I responsible for feeling alone a lot of the time? Was it my fault? Now, some of those things, potentially, yes. Potentially, some of those things could have been my fault. Right? However, there were events that happened and people who acted upon me, but the way I handled it was not the best. Now, at the time, the way I handled the situation was the absolute best that I could with the knowledge, the skills, and the experience that I had as a 14-year-old child.
Right.
However, knowing what I know now, I can look back and see all the things I could have done differently. I was extremely introverted and shy. Could I have forced myself to get out of my shell, similar to what I'm doing right now, broadcasting to the world, and spoken with other people and tried to create other relationships? Absolutely, I could have. Could I have confronted some of the bullies and just stood up for myself more than I did at the time? Absolutely, I could have. Could I have spoken and shared what I was going through with trusted adults and advisors who could have helped coach me through it? Absolutely, I could have. Did I do any of those things? Minimally, right? People are always, and this is the thing about blaming others. People in life are always going to act upon us in ways that either affect us in a positive or negative way.
Right.
We really focus on the negative for some reason. I don't understand why human minds just harp on the negative.
It kept us alive. I'll even say that. It kept us alive. Like back in the day, you know, we're in this world right now where it's not very good to be anxious. It's not very good to be depressed. It's not very good to be scared or fearful or whatever. But back 250,000 years ago when Homo sapiens came on the scene, you can't just be sitting there and like, oh, the bush is rustling. Oh, the wind is beautiful. It's whatever. The people that were like anxious, they're like, the bush is wrestling. There's a saber-toothed tiger about to pop out of that. We got to get out of here. And they bailed. Those people survived. The problem is all those people bred with other anxious people. And now we have this anxious, crazy, we look at the negative type of society because it was just bred into us. It kept us alive. But now it's killing us, to your point. But back to your point.
Holds us back. No, I appreciate that. I'm just imagining like someone laying down looking at clouds and then T-Rex comes.
It's beautiful.
You're dead.
There's a couple of y'all that made it, but most of y'all died out.
Oh, that was a very fun video to play in my head just now. Right, but people are going to act on us in a negative way. People are the absolute best part of life, and they're the absolute worst part of life.
100%.
And so, you know, we talked previously about surrounding ourselves with good people who lift us up and support us and to eliminate or at least reduce the time we spend with drags and dead weights. But you cannot control other people. You can influence them as much as possible to influence them for good, but it is impossible to control everybody around us. And I talk about this in the context of personal responsibility and taking ownership of your life because of this next point that I'm going to make. So Jack Canfield uses a mathematical equation, and people are like, Jake, why are you talking about math on a podcast about personal growth? That the two don't really equate. He uses this equation, E plus R equals O. Right? The E stands for events. The R is for response. And O is the outcome. So your event happens. Plus your response to that event equals the outcome of an event. So I'm going to use the probably most cliche and overused example ever, but everybody understands it. You get cut off in traffic and it almost causes a crash. What is a typical response?
You mother...
Yeah. You immediately get heated. The finger goes up, and everybody knows which finger. I'm not going to do it on video today, but
the pinky finger.
Yeah, the pinky finger. That's the one I use around my kids, so they don't know what I'm actually thinking. But the finger goes up, you start swearing, whatever happens, it's a super emotional response. Fine. Wife forgets your birthday. What's typical response?
Divorce. Obviously.
Relationship over.
Unacceptable.
Right? But generally, what our mind is going to go to, oh, she must not love me or care about me. Now, how about we flip the script, right? Because that is typically what happens. What if you change the response? You get cut off in traffic, you pause a little bit, you go to like Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, the old kids show, and when you get upset and you want to roar, take a deep breath and count to 4. I still remember that, and my kids are grown, and that was like 10 years ago.
Say it again.
TV all the time. When I should say it in the jingle, right? When you get upset and you want to roar, just take a deep breath and count to 4.
I love that, bro. I'm using that. I got little kids.
It's one of these like jingles that's going to stick in your head for the rest of your life. But perfect scenario, though. You get cut off. You feel yourself starting to get all upset. The other response is, well, I hope they're okay.
You know what I think? This is going to be a little, we're taking it PG-13.
Yeah.
When someone cuts me off in traffic, I think to myself, man, that person really has to poop. They got to get there. They got to get to the house because it's serious right now. Because we've been there, folks. We've been there. Because I have found, you hear the old wives in the car and they're about to have a baby and all that stuff. Probably not. But that guy ate a little Chipotle, put a little too much hot sauce on there, and they got to go. Like, hey, you can cut me, my friend. Like, I'm good.
A little bit of Taco Hell.
Exactly. Taco Bell hit hard. Those grilled stuffed burritos don't play.
I'm immediately adopting that mindset.
Yeah.
So, because that takes you from the... to laughter.
Yeah,
and there is nothing better than laughter.
Exactly.
But right, and what is the outcome? Instead of being all hyped up and just pissed off for the rest of the day, suddenly you're laughing because you're like, oh, they're clenched up.
Yeah, they're clenched.
Oh, quick. Or
maybe
you are doing the more caring, like, the wife's having a baby in the car right now, right? Like,
Christopher's a
whatever it
strong
is.
name.
Same thing with the wife forgetting your birthday. You can say she doesn't love me, so she forgot my birthday. And just for clarification, Elisa has never forgotten my birthday. Yeah, this isn't a personal experience I'm talking about. She's amazing. But the other way you can flip the script, she loves me so much, but she forgot my birthday.
Happens.
I mean, you just literally just reversed the sentence, same words, but the outcome is completely different. Instead of thinking the worst of somebody and that your totally loving, solid relationship is on the brink of divorce, as we said a minute ago, it's just, oh, she forgot it. I know she still loves me, though. There was a story Canfield used when I heard him explain this that I thought was amazing. And there's about a car dealership in California that, during the major recession, like during, was it '08 or whatever, when everybody's like losing their house, there weren't a lot of cars being sold. People losing their home, probably not out buying a car. And he talked about how this dealership, right, this event happened and dealerships are going out of business and they can't move vehicles and they're just taking losses left and right. And so the owner of this dealership said, okay, what do we do? How do we get through this? And so he started thinking to himself, who still has money? Well, probably the people playing golf at the country club are still doing okay right now.
Yeah.
When do people buy a car? The moment they take one out for a test drive.
It's true.
Because once you are driving in the car, and I've done this with the Tesla recently and did the demo drive,
Bad
and I
idea.
cannot get that experience out of
Bad
my head.
idea.
It was awesome. The moment that happened, your current vehicle is no longer good enough.
Oh yeah, it's trash.
The moment you drive a brand new thing, like suddenly your car that's 3 to 5 years old maybe, runs perfectly, never had an issue, it's suddenly not good enough.
It's a horse and buggy at that point.
So what does he do? He took his salespeople, they went and drove up to this country club and just started offering test drives to people.
That's so cool.
You know what happens? They
People
started
bought
moving a
cars.
lot of cars.
Yeah.
Same event, different response, completely different outcome for this dealership. And I thought that was amazing.
It's a mindset thing, right? I feel like it's all in our mind. And I'm not here to say like the health problems that we spoke about before or the financial difficulties that you're facing are all in your mind. All I'm here to say is in the event that you got hit upside your head, woke up in the hospital a week later with amnesia, all of your problems would go away because they really are all in our mind.
Yeah.
And it's how we react in our mind. And I do think that most of the folks that play the blame game or most of the folks that shirk their responsibility and put it on someone else are just really good at using their mind to time travel. I'm a good time traveler. Like I use my mind to time travel all the time. Oh, well, I'm not where I need to be because back in the day when I was in high school, I didn't buckle down and do this, that, and the third. And I could have went into a college and, if I was in a great college and I was actually work hard, I could be a surgeon right now and I'd be, it's like, whoa, I just time traveled back to high school to beat myself up for where I am right now.
To beat yourself up again. Right?
Or,
Yeah.
you know what? That's not my fault. The only reason I didn't get the promotion is because this person threw me under the bus, and I can't believe that they did that. And I hope right now that they hate their job, and I can't and I time travel back there to make excuses as to where I am right now. Or I go in the future. Well, I can't do that because if I do that, that means I'm gonna be working till midnight every night, and that's not cool. And these people are abusing me, and I can't even believe that. Now I'm time traveling in the future, making excuses for what I have control over now. My energy in the moment. Not making excuses why you can't, not using your essentially power, your energy to go back in time to make an excuse as to why, or go forward in time to make an excuses as to why, but use every piece of energy you have in the now to just take the next best action and own it. Even though it isn't your fault that you got passed up for the promotion that you deserved because of office politics. It's great, but it is your responsibility on what you're going to do about it right now in the moment. It's not your fault that you only get hit up by your boss who doesn't care about you and only speaks to you when there's a problem and wants you to come in late, but it is your responsibility to show up and be your best self at work right now for the people that are around you and they're in your sphere of influence, right? It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. So get out of your mind, Quit making excuses, quit time traveling, put your boots on the ground and get it done, whatever it may be. And a lot of the time I've found that, at least for me, if I could be vulnerable, the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I time travel and make excuses and pass the buck is because I just don't want to do the thing. The thing that I know that I need to do, I give myself the power in my mind to talk me out of it. I don't want to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go work out. I don't want to do that, but I know it's what I need to do. But it's easy for me in the morning to say, well, I actually didn't get that great of sleep last night. And you know what? If I don't get good sleep, studies say that I will be rough at work and I don't want to get fired. I have a family to feed, I'm going to go back to sleep. Oh, I don't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and, I didn't get that much sleep. And, my throat's feeling a little, I don't want to get sick. If I'm sick, I'll be out of the gym all week. It's just all BS to talk you out of doing the thing that you know you need to do. So just do it. I forget who said it. You said it last time, like the 5-second rule. Like the second that you don't want to do something, who was the person? I forget who it was. I want to give her credit. She's fantastic. Someone Google it. We're in the world of AI. Grab the transcript. You can figure it out. Drop it in the comments for me. I'll throw you $1. But it's the 5-second rule. The second that you don't want to do something and you start trying to talk yourself out of it, count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off, and then do it. It re-engages your prefrontal cortex. It stops that mammalian amygdala hijack, the amygdala that's trying to talk you out and keep you safe and keep you alive. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off and just do it. Own it. Just go.
Our minds are such awful things, right? We self-sabotage. You're talking about the passing up for promotion and things. I'm thinking, so Myers is the one who gave me my shot at leadership, as I've said. So
He's great.
Gave me the regional manager position. What I haven't shared is that before I got that position, I had applied for, interviewed, and been passed over 5 times. I got to say that in like the first
5?
9 times.
Was it 9?
No, it was 5.
Okay, that's still a lot.
The 5 times, and one of those times was with him. So I was his second, right? I was the alternate for that position in case the other guy didn't take it. And then there was another one came up in Florida, so that one was to go to Chicago. So I almost ended up living in Chicago actually. And then there was one in Florida, and Elise and I thought about it. We're like, oh, we got family in Florida that was living there at the time. Like, it's an amazing place, close to Disney. She's a Disney fanatic.
No income tax.
Yeah, we could literally live in Orlando and she could go work for Disney again like she's done before. And so we prayed about it. We thought, yes, this is the one. So I was second in line last time. There's no way I'm not going to get this. So I applied for it. The director didn't even interview me. I was like, how does that happen?
I bet you were pissed.
I was so angry.
Oh my God.
But I went back and Myers, the great leader that he is, he had a conversation with me when he passed me over for the other guy. And he said, Jake, like, it was great. This is just the one thing that he had that you didn't. And it was a 6 Sigma certification. And so I was like, okay, I can go pass the test. I can take a course. I love learning. And so that was the point where I made the decision. And so this is toot my own horn a little bit, but so y'all don't know that I'm a hypocrite about talking about what we're talking about today. That was the point where I said, I can just stay angry. I can be ticked off. I can go look for another job. Or he had the courtesy and to give me the pass to what do I need to do now?
Yeah.
Like, if you really want this, go do this. And he told me what the next step was.
That's so good.
So I went and did it. And what happened? Another position opened up in Texas, and I got it.
And you're there now.
I'm there now.
And God had a plan for you.
And he had a plan for me.
Where he wanted you to be.
Yeah. We still deal with hurricanes, but we deal with fewer of them than my friends in Florida, thankfully. But the thing is, like, we tend to complain. Like, you were talking about the complaining. But what I've learned, and we really think about complaining, we can only complain about things we're unwilling to do something about.
Right.
We complain about the government. We complain about our neighbors. Or right now, I complain a lot about my HOA. And we complain about the weather. We complain about coworkers. Well, you're complaining because you're unwilling to take responsibility to change it. You're unwilling to confront the issue. What can you do about the government? Well, you can change the way you vote, potentially. Or you can try voting again, or you can try and educate people about what you see as the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like your neighbors, what can you do? Move. You don't like the weather? Move. Like, there's things you can do. Some of them are drastic. You may not be able to do it right now, but if you're not going to do something about it eventually,
Yeah.
well, quit complaining. Right? Excuses are very similar. Excuses, I think, are worse than complaining because it truly like weakens the individual. You create within yourself a sense of helplessness.
Right.
I didn't get the job because I'm just not good enough. I didn't make the basketball team because everybody else is better than me. I'm not good enough. Or they're rich. I'm not. I'm not smart enough. All these things, it weakens you. And it creates within yourself just this sense of just helplessness.
Which is terrible.
It is. And so just cut that out of your life. Stop the excuses. Flip the script in your mind like we're talking about before, right? And the solo was just saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
Blast.
take action. Yeah, lift off.
What's crazy to me too is I noticed, because I feel like 90% of the things that I say on this podcast, albeit someone from the outside looking in would think, oh man, he's talking some truth. If he lives that way, he must be a billionaire. No. 90% of the stuff that I'm saying right now, I'm talking to myself right now. I got a little camera right here and I'm looking at myself and I'm trying to talk you into it, like, stop making excuses, bro. Get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Stop complaining. And what I've noticed even with myself when it comes to the complaining, because it feels good to complain. I don't know why. Maybe it isn't the brain, maybe it's biology. But I noticed that I even complain when I win, when I do something great. Like, for example, we just had a crazy situation at work. Jake, you're here. I won't go into details, but it was crazy. And I found myself after talking to my boss, how did it go? Oh, it was a nightmare. It was so bad. It was so poor me, and it was so tough, and it was so hard. But like, we killed it. We showed up. We showed out. We did all the things that we thought that we couldn't do. We literally did the impossible.
Yeah, I don't know as it truly could have gone any better.
It couldn't have gone any better. But I still were complaining about how rough the road to victory was. And I remember this sermon I was watching. Shout out Pastor Furtick, Elevation Church. One of the leadership principles that he tries to beat into us as leaders in the church is something that a leader loves to tell the people that follow that leader. And it's, love it when you make it look easy. Like, how many of us have come home from a long day at work, right? Just say the woman executive comes home, and her husband's talking about how hard it was and how much rough it was and all this, that, and the third. How many of us have had in the same situation that I was in? We're like, we said, how did it go? And they're like, oh, it was so tough and I can't believe we even got through it and I almost died. But we did it. And then how many of us have come home and it's just all done? And it's like, how was today? Oh, it was good. How was your day? It's like, it was good. Like, I know my kids are crazy. My wife does this to me. They're bouncing off the walls. Like, I don't know what's going on with my second child, but he's like a bull in a china shop. He's like already football trucking things. It's like, bro, like, stop hitting your head on stuff.
He's tackling dad.
Like, the house is beautiful. Everything's complete. And it's like, how was your day? It was good. How was yours? It's like, it was good. I know it was tough. Your leaders understand that it's difficult. They get that you're going through all the pain and all the whatever. But if you're the type of person that when you show up and they ask you, how did it go? Good. What challenges you had? Oh, there's always challenges, but we overcame them. It's good. We got it. Dang, I love it when you make it look easy. Dang, I know that you went through all this stuff, but I don't have to spend energy trying to coddle you and make you feel better and feel good about the tough things that we do. Life is hard. Life is rough. But those of us who cannot complain and make it look easy are the best of us. And I wish I had more of that in me. But it's a leadership principle that I would like to share with our listeners because it feels good to complain, especially on the road to your victory. But sometimes just knowing that the road was tough, smiling with all the bruises and bumps and scratches and scars that you have, that you got along the way, and making it look easy, gives you something to the person looking upon you that you could never get with no matter how hard the road was. In fact, it'd take it away if you explained it. So try to make it look easy. Try to get out of the complaining place because Lord knows I know. it feels good, but it's unnecessary. It's a waste of your energy.
That's powerful. So like, yeah, I'm thinking about that. It's the principle of being the duck, right? You're
Yeah,
calm on the surface,
the
and
duck.
underneath you're just paddling like hell. And I mean, you're right. I think we like to complain sometimes, or I'll call it venting, right? I
Mm-hmm.
vent up to my boss at times too, and I'll tell him proactively. I'll say, "Boss, I got to vent for a minute."
Yep.
I try not to do it all the time because I don't want to be the naysayer, the complainer. But there are times, and I think it's just to feel validated that
For sure.
what is really hard, that someone notices.
Yeah, to be seen.
But to your point, it's so much more powerful if you just go through the hard stuff and you tell your boss, it was hard, but we crushed it.
Crushed it.
And if you want to know how hard, I'll tell you.
That's why
It's
I'm
good.
here. So you don't have to hear about, deal with the hard. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
That's what makes you valuable. That's what makes you
Exactly.
somebody that people want to be and stick around. Because they get it. I get it. I know how difficult my folks' jobs are. But the ones that make it look easy, it's just thank God for them. Because they're the pourers. They're the fillers. They're the people that I look forward to talking to. I know the folks as well that want to tell me how hard it was. Because to your point, it's really like a validation thing. It's like, I want to be seen thing. I want you to see how difficult and how hard I work and how good I am at making things happen. But I don't even know the word for it, but it's unnecessary because they already know. And they're already expecting you to tell them that because that's what 99% of the people do. And then the 1% of the people that don't and just make it look easy, it's like, whoa, you're different. Whoa,
Yep.
I want some more of you in my life.
Well, and it's talking about promotions. They can handle more.
They can handle it. Yeah. If this was easy to them, they could handle the really tough stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to go back to one last thing. So we're talking about the roadblocks to taking ownership.
Okay, yeah.
So the complaining, the excuses. The last one that we've hit on a little bit, but I want to go a little deeper, is just blaming. Right? It's a victim card thing. It's someone else's fault. I couldn't possibly have caused X, Y, or Z to happen in my life. However, there's a couple quotes I want to use. Jocko Willink.
I love Jocko.
Jocko's amazing. I had the chance to hear him in person once. And it was
Really?
I tell you, like that guy.
How tall is he, bro?
I mean, he's built like a Greek god.
Is he tall?
He's just like. I mean, the guy is a Greek god. Like, just picture like Zeus.
A Greek
And
god
that's
with a
Jocko.
machine gun.
And he is so intimidating. And I think part of it is that you know that he could just destroy you with his bare hands
He
in
could
like
kill you.
75 different
Right.
ways. And I mean, true American hero, like helped design the Navy SEAL training program, the modern one. So, I mean, I was over in Afghanistan in just the worst possible circumstances. And so if you haven't read his book, Extreme Ownership, highly recommend it. There's a plug for you, Jocko. Not that you need it because you're killing it. But he says it this way. Once people stop making excuses, stop blaming others, and take ownership of everything in their lives, they are compelled to take action to solve their problems. So when you stop the excuses, when you stop blaming someone else for your problems, and you take ownership and responsibility of it, you are compelled to take action to solve your problems. And then the Dalai Lama, and I love being able to reference the Dalai Lama. When you think everything is someone else's fault, you will suffer a lot, right? When you're blaming everybody else and it's their fault, you personally will suffer a lot. When you realize that everything springs only from yourself, from within, you will learn both peace and joy.
That's so good. I could admit that I was spreading suffering just recently. So, because I was upset, I was angry, and I was making excuses and blaming others. So, I'll be vulnerable and tell you a recent story. So, my cousin moved out here next to me, and she had a housewarming party, and I didn't make it. I didn't think it's that big of a deal. I'm not super close with my cousin. Like, I love her. I got her back. If she calls me and needs me for anything, I'd be there, right? Mine's the housewarming party, I guess. I didn't put it on the calendar, okay? I'm not the most organized person. She hits me with a canned Canva 3 months ago and didn't follow up. I forgot. My bad. Didn't think anything of it. I call my grandma. My grandma eats me alive. Really disappointed you didn't make your cousin's party.
That's rough coming from
Oh,
Grams.
man, 94 years old, dealing with, cancers, like just still sharp as a tack, brilliant. She's our matriarch of the family. We talked about it in our Mother's Day episode. So she's
Yeah.
the boss. So the boss is just reaming me. I'm the oldest cousin, and she's counting on me to keep us together, and I need to come through with the responsibilities I say I'm going to do, and I need to do things I need to do. And this whole time, I'm just getting fired up. And in my mind, I'm making I'm coming up with this whole story. It's like this mother calling my grandma to snitch on me like we're still kids, telling her how upset she was that I didn't make her party, even though I haven't talked to her in like 3 months and haven't seen her in like a year. Didn't get invited to the wedding that she had, even though it was right up the street because it was supposed to be small. I didn't know that me not showing up to your party was going to hurt you so bad that you're going to call Grammy and she's going to eat me alive. My bad.
You never knew you were the favorite cousin.
My bad. You know what I mean? And I was fired up. And I'm thinking, I got this whole long text message I'm about to send to her, and it was scathing. Like, my sword is my tongue. I could rip you up if I wanted to. And I was ripping her up. And then I thought about it. And as I was talking to Grammy, I just took it on the chin because I was like, you know what? The last thing I want to do is cause some kind of internal family strife when she's in the twilight of her life. So I'm going to own it. But I did it on the surface. I didn't really feel it. I was like, I'm just going to own this for her because I love her. So like, you know what, Grammy, you're right. It was my fault. I need to do better. I didn't believe a word that I was saying to her.
Yeah.
But I said it to like squash it. But then afterwards, I called my brother. And I'm like, bro, I got a vent. This mother... I can't even believe... I didn't even get invited to the wedding. Where's my housewarming gift? Like, she didn't even follow up. And then oh man, I feel you. And then, in like an hour after this conversation, I was walking up and down the street. Now I got my 14,000 steps. I was feeling good about that. But
you got your cardio because your heart was pounding.
I was pounding. I was ready. I was like, dang, I just spread the suffering onto my brother. And now he's in a mood feeling a certain way. And I spread it onto my wife, and she's in a mood feeling a certain way. And I'm like, damn, I'm the one who missed the party. I told her to go, and I didn't. And yeah, she could be or should be or shouldn't be or whatever upset about it. And I have excuses why she couldn't or shouldn't or yada, yada, yada. But I missed the party. So just say sorry. Don't send that long, nasty message. But I realized, like, bro, you're the one who missed the party. Like, I missed the party. Like, I told her I'd be there, and I didn't show. So of course she's going to feel a certain way when her side of the family doesn't show, when her husband's family drives however many hours to be there, and I'm right up the street and I'm not there. And I can make excuses, and I can be pissed, and I could continue to spread that pissed and suffering onto the people that I love that'll have my back, or I could just own it and fix it. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to own it. And I texted her and I said, I'm sorry. Sorry I didn't make your party. To be perfectly honest, I just missed it. It's my fault. But I have really no excuse other than I should have been better at putting it on my calendar. And I can imagine that you were pretty hurt that I didn't make it, especially with your whole husband side of the family being there and me not being there, and I'm the only one in town. I'm sorry. And she's like, I was hurt. It sucks that you're right up the street and they had to drive 2-3 hours. But it's okay. I forgive you, of course, and we'll figure it out. And it's like, man, that felt better than the 2 hours of venting and all of the validation that the people that I love gave me on why I was right. When in my heart of hearts, I was just covering for my inadequacies. And I think that that's my biggest reason for playing the blame game and spreading suffering. It hurts to think that we're not perfect. It hurts to think that we make mistakes and we screw up and it's our fault. It hurts to think that this perfect image that's bulletproof when you're younger and then you find your own mortality, but for the most part, we don't think that the obesity is going to happen to us. We don't think the car accident is going to happen to us. We don't think that the cancer or the anything is going to happen to us. We don't think that our ish doesn't stink. We think that we're far better than we really think that we are, and a lot of people can play it off, but ultimately, it hurts to realize we're just human. And when you're just human, and you admit it, full of your flaws and your warts and your scars and all. And you just own those things and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do better. And then you actually do better. You realize that it's not painful being fallible. In fact, it's great being able to make mistakes and having people that love you forgive you and doing better. And if you have nobody that loves you and forgives you for doing better, at least you could love and forgive yourself for doing better. So just own it. It hurts less, and you'll spread less suffering on the people that do love you.
That's so good, Solo. There's a Jocko quote that I wasn't going to share, but you went right to it. It says, implementing extreme ownership requires checking your ego and operating with a high degree of humility.
It is ego. It is humility.
Admitting his mistakes, taking ownership, and developing a plan to overcome challenges are integral to any successful team. He's talking team, but it's a successful life, right? And I was watching Tony Robbins earlier today while I was preparing for this, and Tony talks about what you were just saying is he says we beat ourselves up, and I'm greatly paraphrasing, but he says we beat ourselves up till we're just raw all the time. And so then when an event happens, we're unprepared to deal with it because, ow, it hurts.
Yeah,
I'm raw.
We're raw.
And it's because we just can constantly just beat ourselves up because we're fallible. We're human. We're going to make mistakes, right? If you're a Christian, you know that only Jesus was perfect. He came down to earth because he knew we wouldn't be, right? That's the whole plan, God's plan for us and sending him to be the savior. So quit beating yourself up. Just be humble enough to recognize you're not perfect, and it will allow you to make that mindset shift or the lifestyle shift that we're talking about. And that's where I'd like to transition for the last little bit here is what do you do? How do you do this? And I have two things I'm going to challenge everybody today. Or two steps, I guess, to really being able to take this type of responsibility and ownership that we're talking about. And the thing I will promise you is that if you do these things, it will shift everything for you. You will find greater happiness. You will accomplish more of your goals. Like you will find greater peace. You'll have less of the complaining and excuses. The things that weaken you will start to leave your life. And the things that fill you up and bring you what you're wanting, you will find more of those in your life. And so the first one is you have to focus your mind on what it is you want to create in your life. What are the things that you're most passionate about? And we're going to do a whole passion test episode here very soon. And so we'll dive into this in a lot more detail. But what are the things that fill you up? What are you most passionate about? When you stop and think about what brings you happiness and peace, what are the goals that bring you just energy? What are those things? And you focus your mind on those things. Stop focusing your mind on doom scrolling on social media and what everybody else has that you don't have, right? Stop focusing on scarcity. Stop focusing on lack. And take all your mental energy and focus on what it is that you want. What is it that brings you happiness? So that is number one.
I feel like that's so good. I want to circle back real quick and then go to the focus on things that you want, because I couldn't agree with you more. But you mentioned that only God was perfect. Only Jesus was perfect. But I want to just call out the fact that even God recognized the weight of the things that weigh on us. Like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, not a scholar.
That word.
Yeah, that word. Said, Father, if you're willing, please take this cup from me. But not my will, but yours be done. That verse gives me so much peace when I'm making excuses for my inadequacies, when I'm beating myself up, when I'm scared or beat up, knowing that even Jesus was like, look, I don't want to go through this, but not my will, but your will be done. So don't beat yourself up for going through the struggles or making excuses or spreading the suffering and trying to get validation, because life is hard. It hurts. It sucks. It's our natural inkling to want to pass the buck. It's not our natural inkling to want to own everything because it hurts. And even God recognized the hurt of it and wanted that cup to pass from him, but not our will, not this fleshy will that wants to stay comfortable and avoid pain, but your will, the higher self, that better self, that dream that you have hidden in your heart that you know you have to become the best, strongest version of you, that will be done. Do the hard thing and accept it. And to your point, if we're going to, stay on the, biblical tip, you have to use your mind to think about the things that you want. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, pure, or lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think about these things. We have a choice, and we could use our mental faculty to envision the life that we would want, the beauty and the opulence that is right in front of us, or we can use it to blame and make excuses or come up with all forms of the world being dark and full of terrors. I say we focus on the former, even though the latter is easier. So use your mind to think about what it is that you do want as opposed to what it is that you don't want, because our minds have a very powerful way of attracting the truths that we put in it.
100%. It's a great verse. Love that. I stop focusing on the negative, focus on the positive and things you want to create. Then, when you do this, and this is Jacob Anderson tested and approved here, and I'm one of many that have done this. But then, as events happen, specifically talking about the negative events that we typically complain and make excuses for, use Jack Canfield's equation, right? The event plus your response, right? So when you're focused on what you want, it is far easier when something negative happens to adjust your response to said event. And if you find yourself with these limiting thought patterns and stop, Daniel Tiger it, take that breath and count to 4, choose a better feeling, more helpful thought that will allow you to take action. So, prime example, a few years ago, was dealing with repeated bouts of just crippling anxiety. I've kind of mentioned this a little bit before too. It would literally prevent me. I could not physically move. I would end up fetal on the bed, just sobbing with anxiety. Not a good place to be. It's hard for me to take action and go take care of my family when I'm like that. And with counseling and using the things I'm talking about, it took time and practice. I don't have those issues anymore. It doesn't mean that anxiety's gone away entirely, but I have learned to recognize most of the time. It can catch me by complete surprise occasionally, but it is the exception, not the rule. But most of the time, I can recognize when this panic attack is coming on, and I can take the steps and push it down and let it just go away. Release it out into the ether so that I can go back to living my life. But choose your response. Other things that help with this, right? The important thing is to be able to do that pattern interrupt.
Yep.
You have to interrupt the thought pattern, and that is the hardest part of all of this.
Yep.
So take the deep breath. A couple other things that we can talk about the work. We challenged you all to make a list of the 100 things that you have accomplished in your life. Remember those list of successes. That helps you remember, I'm a winner. I'm crushing it. Review your gratitude journal. All of these things will reinforce the unlimited power within you, that unlimited potential, and help you to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off.
That's right. And remember, sometimes it's a person. Sometimes you're so low, you're so beat up, you're so literally crying on the bed, fetal, I prefer the closet, that you can't look at a gratitude journal. You don't want to watch a Disney. If someone says like, hey, think a positive thought, you're going to punch them in the throat. But to every problem, there's a person. And you have people in your life that you love, that are encouraging, that are happy, that are funny, that are just those kind of folks that pour into you and lift you up. Make sure you keep those folks close and make sure that you prep them for what you're looking for. Hey, I'm going through X, Y, and Z right now. I could sit here and vent and spread this suffering, but I really just want to talk to you because you're an awesome person. You're funny. You're awesome. You're great. Fill me up with something good. Tell me something good. Tell me something lovely. Tell me something of good report. I need to be filled up with something different right now. Or just can you be with me while I feel the way I feel? Because for some reason, being with good people who love you, you don't have to say a word and it'll make you feel better. So now sometimes you're going to be in the crapper and there's nothing that you could personally do to get you out of it, but there's always someone else that can. You're one of those people for me, Jake. How many times have I
Right,
hit you up when I was about to
right
lose
back
my
at you.
mind and you talked me off the ledge and reminded me of
We
how
have done
great
that
I
for each
am?
other.
And so I appreciate you for that.
I appreciate you. We've done that. We've helped each other. There's been many times where I find myself in the proverbial box, and you've helped pull me out of it. And that's the point, team. Is like you have it recognizing, just recognizing I'm not in a good place is really the first
Yeah.
step to shifting your mindset. And that's really what this is. It takes practice. Tony Robbins says when he first really learned this and would start to teach it, he said it was his 4-second rule. So you pause, you take that breath, you really like focus on what you're thinking and say, is this true or not? Recognize that it's not helpful, it's not true, push it aside and replace it. He said, when I first started doing it, it was more like the 4-hour rule
Yeah.
or the 4-day rule, right? It takes time and it
That's a
takes
good point.
practice. But over time, it helps you completely change your perspective on things and will allow you to be far more successful, far more happy, and become the best version of yourself. And that's really what Solo and I are here to help you do, is become the best version of yourself possible. And this is really a foundational principle. I can't say it's the only pillar, but it is one of the foundational pillars of achieving your wildest dreams. Anything else, Solo?
We could go on about accountability. And I do want to send a shout out to Steve real quick when it comes to what he said on leading thyself. I really do think leading thyself is the first step in anyone's personal achievement, leadership, any type of success journey. And to your point, it starts with awareness. Like, who are you? What are you feeling right now? How are the things that are acting on you or interacting with you in your environment making you feel? And is that the type of environment that is conducive to this best self that you say that you want to be? So lead thyself. But before you can lead thyself, you have to know where thyself is right now. Take an inventory of your life. Where are you at in your personal relationships? Scale of 1 to 10. Your health, your spiritual, beliefs or impact, your community impact, your financial health, your personal or your professional relationships. Just take an inventory. Where are you? And where do you want to go? And then along the way, as you go throughout your day and your week and your years, be aware of where you are internally and externally and choose to be your best as many times as you can. And when you don't, just know you're human and just get back on the wagon.
Yep. It's about the journey. Make sure the journey that the direction you're going is in the direction you want to go. And when you find yourself deviating, get right back.
And if you're feeling a certain way, throw us a chat or throw a post in the comments. We'll talk you out of your crazy. We'll talk you out of that chatterbox that is in all of our heads trying to tell us or talk to us and say that we're less than or we're too much of this or too much of that. We got you. You got a community here. And for the folks that are also in the chat that see that, pour out some praise on them. Be that person to lift them up and push them forward. Be vulnerable with where you are. And the people in our community, just spread some love so we could start something great. That's my app. That, like,
Absolutely.
and subscribe. Like, dang. Like, hit the like button. Like, is it that hard? Like, hit the subscribe button, We're not gonna be blowing up your stuff. You ain't gonna get some kind of weird, thing in the mail. Just hit the subscribe button for us. Hit the subscribe.
We will absolutely. But to your point of the community, right? It's the iron sharpens iron, right? It's the reason we have the title. We sharpen each other. We are forging and creating the world that we want to live in. And so if that's something that appeals to you, if you want to be a part of this movement, right? Be the change you want to see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it together and support each other through it. But until next time, friends, this is Iron Sharpens Iron signing out.